Hello and welcome. My name is Charlotte Blicher. Stay with us for the next 10 minutes where we will discuss and get to understand what composable architecture is, why there's so much hype in the market around it, and why we in the business need to know more about it. To help me give some answers to these questions, I've invited my colleagues, Per Bendsen, who is heading up our product, and Brian, who is heading up our integration team. So I thought that we could maybe start with a short introduction. Brian, do you want to start?
Yes, I can do that. I'm Brian Laursen, and I'm the VP of Integrations at DidiSuite. And my main responsibility and focus is enabling our platform to integrate easily to any platform in the enterprise landscape. Yes.
And I am Per Bendsen, and I'm Chief Product Officer, and I'm heading up our research and development department, where we are developing our digital asset management system.
Thank you. So let's throw the first question on the table, and maybe start off with some definitions. So what does composable architecture? What does that mean? Here, do you want to?
Yes, and that's a really good question. So typically when you have a marketing technology stack, then you're building that up of a lot of components that each have their own responsibilities. And what you want to do is have that composable, so you can compose your marketing architecture of a lot of different systems, so you can select the best of breed that's best suited for your business.
Okay. So what you're talking about is that you can actually build a complete architecture based on best of breed platforms.
Yes. So you typically will hear something like API first, or best of breed, or omni-channel, and the solution to that is to have composable components, and then you can swap one out with another if you need to do that or want to do that.
Good. Sounds really interesting. So we're hearing a lot of buzz on composable architecture, and that is typically also driven by tech vendors out there. So Brian, do you have a view on why are we suddenly talking about composable architecture? Why is there so much buzz out there around this topic?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think it starts with consumers having high expectations towards companies and brands. So they expect the best possible experience with all of our brands. And to be able to enable those experiences, you need the proper platform, as Per mentioned. So you need a platform that consists of the composable blocks. That could be a CMS platform to control the website. It can be a marketing automation platform to control all of your emails. It's your social media platforms, but it's also the digital assets that goes into all of those. So I think the hype really comes from a demand from the market and from the consumers out there. Yeah.
So when you're talking to customers out there, is this a topic that resonates with the business? Because it does seem like a very tech theme. So why do you believe that the business and marketing professionals and the business should care about composable architecture or be interested in it?
If you dumb it down, then all of those platforms that I mentioned before, they need compelling content, that being great videos or great images or 3D files, to be able to sell a product, and to be able to let's say, provide all of that content. You need a composable architecture. You need to have your assets centralized so that it can easily be distributed towards all of those platforms. So essentially, it's the bottom line. It's about selling products. It's about providing the best experience towards all of your consumers and customers. Yeah.
So Per, do you believe that composable architecture is for everyone?
Yes, I do believe that it's a benefit for everyone. Of course, when you're building up your content pipeline, and it comes with extra complexity if you want to combine and integrate a lot of systems like DAM and CRM or product information management systems. So you want to combine them. If you then go for solutions that's sort of ready to be integrated and thereby have a composable architecture, then it will be a benefit for everyone. Of course, if you're a small company, there might be situations where where the effort in having them integrated as composable and have automation in content might be too much for that, and then you can just take best of breed systems and then do some of it manually, and then over time automate it.
So you're talking about you can take this as a journey. Is
Yes.
it about having the right strategy from the beginning, right? So if you go down the path of best of breed platforms, then in the long run you can actually build composable architecture. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's the typical what you'll do. If you take components that are ready for integration, that have connectors and good APIs, then you can have a composable strategy. Sort of the other end of that is having a suite where it's all pre-integrated, a lot of your components, but then you'll have other components that you'll have difficulties getting integrated into that suite. So if you go for best of breed, you won't run into that.
Okay. So a follow-up question for you, Per. So what would be the typical signs that you should be looking for as a company when building the strategy, understanding what path should you take? What are the typical signs for that would indicate that you should go for a composable strategy?
So one of the signs is that if you look at your content, the content you want to have to create and then have flow out in your marketing channels, if they come from many different systems because they're sort of different in nature, you might have videos, you might have images, you might have a lot of documents, you might have text or pricing, and then you want to combine all of that into one channel, then you will go for a composable architecture. If you only have sort of one type of content that can be handled in one system, fairly unlikely, but some will have that, and then composable might not be what you should focus on first.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've been talking a lot about content, and that's because content is actually kind of feeding the customer experience. So it plays a huge role in developing great customer journeys. So Brian, could you put some more words around composable architecture in a DAM context?
Yes, I can try to do that. For me, when you talk composable, the digital assets, it's actually the fundamentals of it all. So especially when you deal with customer experience, then compelling content, as I also did mention before, is one of the most fundamental building blocks to be able to provide those experiences. So in context of DAM, that's where I would start. So if you're starting your composable journey, I would start with the DAM. Make sure you centralize all your digital assets, because you know that all of the different platforms around you would and will need those in the future. So essentially, you cannot provide proper customer experience without on-brand videos or on-brand images, no matter if you're working in social media, working in commerce, working on any platform out there. So it's really important to understand that the fundamentals of the composable DXP is the digital assets and the content. Yeah.
So last question, Brian. How is composable architecture relevant in a DAM context? We've talked a little bit about it, but could you say some final words around that?
Yes, I can. Yeah. So I think it's most relevant for a composable DXP. So when you want to provide the best possible customer experience and the most brand consistent experience towards your consumers and customers, then I think DAM and composable works really well together. You have these many platforms, as I did mention before. You have the CMS platform for your website, you have your social media platforms, marketing automation, you have your product information management. What is common, the common denominator for all of those is they need assets. They need the videos, they need the 3D files, they need the images to be able to provide the best experience about that product or that service towards the customer. So I think that's where it all starts and where it all ends. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for being part of this talk. Thank you, Brian and Per, and thank you for listening.